everybody. We're ready for part 3 of the truth about Truman's school. And when we left off, people were starting to pay attention and visit the truthabouttruman.com. And you could see that there was a little bit of tension building. And the last thing that we read was that they were telling everybody who wrote in that it was everybody's website. So they thought that people should post themselves instead of submitting things to be posted. So we start out with Lily. So Haley decided that if a bunch of kids at Truman could start an underground newspaper/website, then she, Brianna, and I should be able to start a cheerleading squad. Well, first of all, I doubted a bunch of kids had started that website. Like I said before, I was pretty sure it was just one kid, Zebby. Maybe Amber was in on it too. Amber was the one who knew all about computers. No way it was a bunch of kids. Still, I had to agree with Haley. If Zebby and Amber, of all people, could start an underground newspaper website, then we should totally be able to start an underground cheerleading squad. I just wasn't sure we could do it by Friday. We knew there'd be a lot of girls who'd want to do it with us, like Cassie and Kylie and Morgan, but Haley, Brianna, and I thought that it should just be the three of us because, well, I don't mean to brag, but we were the popular girls. Haley also thought that whoever was doing the truth about Truman could write about us, but if it really was Zebby's website, I knew she'd never do that. She's got a thing against cheerleaders. She's got a thing about a lot of things. She sure wouldn't write a story about us for her precious website. But I was a little surprised when she, or whoever the webmaster of that site was, said we could write one, and that we could even upload a video of ourselves. In fact, it made me wonder for a second if the truth about Truman really was Zebby's website. Brianna thought she could get her stepbrother to record us and send a video in for us, so all we need to do now is learn some cheers, Haley said. We also need to figure out what we're going to wear. We need to get some pom-poms. I'm getting 2 pages. I didn't think we had any hope of being ready in time, but no one tells Haley Wood she can't do something. So we all stayed after school on Wednesday, and Mrs. Conway helped us find some books on cheerleading. Then we all got a computer and looked up different cheers on the internet. On Thursday, we went to Brianna's house and practiced everything we'd learned for like 3 hours straight. I was surprised how good we were. I think it helped that we'd all taken gymnastics. Once I was sure we weren't going to fall flat on our faces Friday afternoon, I started getting really excited about this. I always wanted to be a cheerleader, and I always wanted to have a boyfriend who was on the football team, which Reese is. Back when they were in high school, my mom was a cheerleader and my dad was a football player. I thought it would be so cool if they both came to one of our games. Maybe they'd even remember that was how they got together in the first place. I know, not likely, considering it had been like 6 months since I'd even seen my dad, and he only lives 50 miles away. We had so much to do to get ready for that first game that I didn't have time to think about milk and honey. Those days right before the game, that was the last time I remember feeling truly happy. Zebby. Amr is my best friend, but he's Muslim, so he can never do anything right after school because he always has to pray for half an hour first. That's why I sometimes stay after school and hang out in the media center with Mrs. Conway. I like talking to Mrs. Conway about books and stuff, and after school is usually the best time to talk to her because the only people who are ever in the media center or after school are Trevor Pearson and Sarah Murphy. But one day I went in there after school and Lily, Haley, and Brianna were sitting at 3 of the computers. You could smell their perfume all the way over by the door. What were they doing here? I wondered. Did they even know how to read? Okay, that wasn't nice. I started to turn and walk away, but Mrs. Conway called me back. Zebby, come here. That book I told you about last week is in. I knew which book she was talking about, the one about women journalists. I was really anxious to read it, so I held my breath as I walked past those girls and went over to the checkout desk to get it. I haven't seen you in a while, Mrs. Conway said as she checked out my book. Yeah, I've been busy with school and stuff, I said. I was tempted to tell her about the truth about Truman's school. I wanted to tell her. See, it was okay that I quit the Bugle. Look at this. Look at what Amber and I started. Don't you think this is way better newspaper than the Bugle? But if Amber and I really weren't telling anyone the truth about Truman was ours, then we couldn't tell Mrs. Conway either. So I took my book and left. Amber: Zebby and I were stoked. People knew about the truth about Truman.com now. I even saw some 7th graders checking it out at the public library. Every time I saw our site up on some computer somewhere, I thought to myself, that's our site, mine and Zebby's. It was just like we said. I told Zebby when she came over late Friday afternoon, all we needed was one person to find our site. All we needed was for the right person to find our site, Zebby corrected. She tossed her sweatshirt onto my bed. Too bad the right person had to be Haley Wood. Hey, look at it this way, I said. One reason you don't like people like Haley and Reese is you think they're users, right? Yeah. Well, for once, we're using them, I said. We're using their popularity to increase the popularity of our site. Zebby grinned. That's an interesting way of looking at it. So let's see just how popular we really are, I said as I turned on my computer. Zebby pulled up a chair, and I logged into the domain control panel. Look at that, I cried, pointing at the screen. It was even better than I expected. We had a total of 472 hits since we launched. Zebby's eyes about popped out of her head. That's like half the school. Well, only if nobody ever got on more than once, I said, but still, it's good. It's very good. Zebby grabbed the mouse. Let's see what all these people have been doing, she said. Have they just been reading, or have they been writing comments and posting new articles too? I watched as she logged onto our site. They are commenting, she cried, surprised. There were 2 or 3 comments under most of our articles and 7 comments under the Stupid Rules article. And look, they're voting too, I said, pointing to our poll. Mr. Reddy still had the most votes for absolute worst teacher. But one of the math teachers, Mrs. Connor, was giving him a run for his money. That bugged me a little because I thought Mrs. Connor was a pretty good teacher. Even Mrs. Horton, our school counselor, had a couple of votes for absolute worst teacher. We'll have to get some more articles up so people keep coming to our site, Zebby said. We? I groaned. Well, maybe other people will start posting articles. 2, Zebby said, scrolling down the site. Maybe that person who wants to do a comic strip will post the first installment soon. And there's a football game today, so maybe this weekend Haley will post her video. Zebby wrinkled her nose at that idea, then continued scrolling down the site. Hey, look, she cried. Somebody posted a new poll. Really? Uh-oh, Zebby said. What? I said, what's the matter? And then I saw what was the matter. Zebby: who's the biggest poser at our school? I read the new question out loud, but it wasn't just a question. If you clicked on the question, you got a picture to go along with it. An old elementary school picture of a girl who was sort of fat when the picture was taken. Whoever posted this didn't say who it was in the picture. They wanted people to guess who it was. That was the whole point of the poll. Well, I didn't have to guess. I knew who it was. So did Amber. And so would anyone who had gone to Herbert Hoover Elementary with all of us. It was Lily Clark. Wow, Amber said. Are we really going to leave that up for everyone to see? I turned back to the picture of the unsmiling fat girl with the greasy hair, and it was like our entire relationship, me, Lily, and Amber, flashed before my eyes. I live 3 houses away from Amber. Lily lives across the street and down 2 more houses from Amber. Our houses were all built right around the same time, so we all moved in right around the same time, the summer before kindergarten. From kindergarten through 5th grade, the 3 of us did everything together. We walked to and from school together, then spent afternoons running back and forth between Lily's swing set, Amber's computer, and the old tree house we found in the woods behind my house when we were in 1st grade. Lily wasn't fat then. We spent summers at the pool and winters building snow forts into the hill in Lily's backyard. We learned how to ride bikes together. We learned how to ice skate together, and we learned how to play t-ball together. Our parents were friends too, so on the weekends our whole families got together. In the summer, our parents would grill hamburgers and then sit out around the fire pit in our backyard, while us kids ran around the neighborhood. In the winter, they'd order pizza and play games of whatever it was they played, while the 3 of us hung out in somebody's basement. Then, when we were in 4th grade, Lily's parents got divorced. Lily and her mom stayed in their house, but things were never the same with our families. The 3 of us stayed friends for a while, but our families didn't get together anymore. Lily started to gain weight in 4th grade, and I mean lots of weight. She'd always been sort of pudgy before, but in 4th grade and 5th grade she was F-A-T. Amber and I never said anything about it, though, because Lily was our friend. We didn't care what she looked like. Besides, we knew she was going through a hard time. Then came the summer between 5th and 6th grade. Lily went away to some camp for most of the summer, and when she came back, she was suddenly thin. She was like a totally different person. She got a new haircut and new clothes, and she started taking gymnastics. That was where she met Haley and Brianna. Haley and Brianna came from a different elementary school than Amber, Lily, and I did, but we all ended up at the same middle school in 6th grade. Most 6th graders still hung out with their elementary school friends, but Lily started hanging out with her new gymnastics friends. Then she made it pretty clear that Amber and I weren't invited. Not that we wanted to be. The only thing those girls ever did was sit around and obsess over their hair, their makeup, and boys. Zebby? Amber elbowed me. What? I blinked. What do you think? Amber asked again. Can we really leave this up? Well, we said this was everyone's website. Anyone could post an article. Anyone could comment on an article that's already up. It said all that right on the front page. So how could we not leave it up? Aside from the few votes for worst teacher and a couple of comments on the article we wrote, this was the first thing from someone else. Someone other than me or Amber had posted. We couldn't take it down, even if it was a little bit mean. I shrugged. It's just a picture, right? It isn't any big deal. Right, Amber said. No big deal. And it is the truth, I pointed out. Lily really did look like that in 4th and 5th grade. Plus, if you ask me, she was a poser. Nothing about her was real anymore. Not since she started hanging out with Haley and Brianna. So, we left the picture up. Brianna. My stepbrother was being a total pain. Mark was always a pain, but he was being even more of a pain than usual. I don't even go to the high school football games, he said as shooting sounds came from his computer. Why would I want to go to a middle school game? So you can record me and Haley and Lily cheering so we can put it up on the school website. Mark finally killed whatever he was shooting at on the computer. That or it killed him, because the shooting sound stopped, and he turned to face me. I suppose you'll need me to edit the video and put it up on the website too, he said like it was this huge deal, even though he practically ran the high school video club single-handedly. He loved video website stuff. Well, if you showed me what to do, I could maybe do it myself, I said in a small voice, though I hated when Mark showed me anything. He always went through it way too fast, and then made me feel stupid when I didn't remember it all. Just because he was really smart and skipped 2 grades doesn't mean I'm stupid. Right, you do something by yourself. When have you ever done anything by yourself, Brianna? If Haley wasn't counting on me to get Mark to do this for us, I would have walked away right then and there. Who needs the abuse? But I couldn't go back to Haley and tell her Mark wouldn't help us. Please, Mark, I begged. I really need you to do this. It's important. Oh, I'm sure it's very important, he snorted. But in the end, he agreed to do it, as long as I took his dishwasher duty for the next week. Lily. It would have been nice if we could have gotten pleated skirts and sweaters like the high school cheerleaders wore, not to mention real pom-poms, preferably navy blue and white like our school colors. But there wasn't time to get any of that, so we decided to wear our Truman t-shirts with dark blue shorts. And then we found some little blue pom-poms on sticks at the mall. They were kind of sad looking, but at least we had something to wave around. When Friday rolled around, we were set. Haley, Brianna, and I were so excited all day because we had this huge secret. We hadn't told Reese or any of the other guys that they were going to have a cheerleaders on Friday. We hadn't told anyone. I could tell Cassie, Kylie, and Morgan were kind of wondering what was up with us, but we didn't even tell them. The whole thing was supposed to be a surprise. After school, we went up to our bathroom and got changed. Then we ran back downstairs, bumping into each other and giggling the whole way. We wanted to be down on the field before the football players so we could cheer while they were coming out. That was what the high school cheerleaders did. There weren't a lot of people down by the field when we got there, but there usually aren't a lot of people at middle school games. Just a few kids from school and a few parents who can get off work. They sit on blankets around the field because we don't have any bleachers at Truman. Haley, Brianna, and I sort of tiptoed around everyone until we worked our way to the front. Cheerleaders have to be in the front. Then we knelt down on the grass and waited for the guys to come out. We kept elbowing each other and smiling because we knew what was about to happen and no one else did. Look, here they come, Brianna said, nodding toward the gym door. Haley and I both turned. My legs about turned to jelly when I saw Reese was leading the pack. "It's showtime," Haley said, nudging me and Brianna. So we all stood up and started waving our pom-poms around. "Here we go, Tigers, here we go," we said. We started out kind of quiet and unsure, and then Brianna got the giggles, but Haley glared at her and she knocked it off. We got a lot more serious, and our voices got stronger, and pretty soon everyone was staring at us. The parents, the kids, the players, the coaches, everyone. There were a couple of kids from my language arts class who I swear looked right at me and then started whispering to each other, which made me a little panicky. Why were they whispering? Was there something wrong with our outfits? Were we out of step with each other? Haley and Brianna just kept right on cheering and waving their pom-poms, so I tried to do the same thing, but it was hard when I didn't know what people were thinking. Were they happy to see us, or did they think we were being stupid? But I saw Reese and a few of the other guys sort of smile at us, and then the coolest thing happened. Some of the people who were there to watch the game started cheering along with us. "Here we go, Tigers, here we go." When the announcer introduced the players, we all cheered and turned cartwheels. I was a little worried that the coaches would tell us to stop, but they didn't, so we cheered the whole game. I think people liked that we were there. At least the people from Truman did. The people from Harding Middle School kind of looked like they wished we'd go away, but they were probably mad that they were losing, and that they didn't have any cheerleaders of their own. Some 7th grader from the Bugle took pictures during the game. He even took one of us. And then when the game was over, he came over to ask us a couple questions so he could write an article about us. Haley had also written a 3-page article about how we started our cheerleading squad for the Truth About Truman. And Brianna's stepbrother was there with his video camera, so we'd have a video to send in too. It was like the best afternoon of my entire life. Then I went home, and everything crashed down around me. First, my mom told me my dad couldn't have me at Thanksgiving after all. Big surprise. Something about a business trip or whatever. I wasn't going to let that get me down. After the wonderful afternoon I just had, I wanted to stay focused on good things, so I told my mom I had to check my email. I expected a bunch of emails from people telling me how great me and Haley and Brianna looked and how awesome it was that Truman now had their own cheerleading squad. But there was only one email in my inbox. It was from Milk and Honey. Dear Lily, I bet I can take one of the most popular girls at school and turn her into one of the most unpopular girls at school. And I bet I can do it without her or anyone figuring out who I am or how I did it. Care to guess which popular girl I have in mind? By the way, don't forget to check out The Truth About Truman. Your friend, Milk and Honey. What could possibly be on that website that was such a big deal? Something about me? It had to be, if Milk and Honey wanted me to see it so badly. I opened my browser and typed in www.truthabouttruman.com. At first, it looked like it was just the same old stuff that was there yesterday, but then I saw there was a new poll, different from the one that was there yesterday. Who's the biggest poser at our school? And underneath the header was my old 5th grade school picture. I froze. I'd cut up every single picture we had of me from when I was in 4th and 5th grade. My mom got really mad at me when I did it, because now we don't have any pictures of me from back then. But I didn't care. As far as I was concerned, if there were no pictures of me from back then maybe I never really looked like that. But I did look like that. This picture was proof. My entire body started shaking. It didn't actually say anywhere on the website that the picture was me, so none of my friends would know it was me, not at first. I never actually come right out and said, "Oh, by the way, I used to be kind of heavy in elementary school." Anyone who went to Hoover would know it was me, though, so it wouldn't be long before the whole school knew. I tried to tell myself it didn't matter. My friends wouldn't care, but deep down I wasn't so sure. I hated to say it, but girls tend to come and go in our group. Like right now, Cassie, Kylie, and Morgan were part of our group, but they wouldn't be around forever. One day they'd say or do something to make Haley mad, and then they'd be out, just like Leah, Shaway, and Gabby were. Would I be gone one day too? Did Milk and Honey, whoever that person was, really have the power to turn me into the most unpopular girl in school? We'll pick up there. I will go ahead and read tomorrow on this book also. So we will pick up there tomorrow with Haley. See you later.